Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm Karan Kumar, Public Relations Officer at Sindh Education Organization, and I welcome you all in today's session on World Environmental Day by Ms. Zarka Khan. Welcome, Ms. Zarka. She is working currently as a research associate at Pakistan House and has also written a paper on climate change and its impact on a sustainable economy. So she would be guiding you more on Environmental Day. It's over to you, Ms. Zarka.
Hello everyone. A short introduction before we commence the session on World Environment Day today. As you all know, you've already been informed a little about my profile, so I'm gonna let you know a little bit more about me before we talk about the main agenda. So, basically, my name is Zarka Khan, and I live and study and work in Islamabad. I am currently a final year student of Beria University, and I am also working as a research associate at Pakistan House, and I'm the president of an international civic society called the Society International. About the Civic Society, we're basically a youth led initiative that work together for education and health. And within the realm of education, we focus on the agenda of climate, advocating for girls' education, making sure that vulnerable communities and marginalized communities within Pakistan receive the adequate education that they need in order to prosper. About my degree, I am currently doing my bachelor's in social sciences with a major in IR. And regarding the environment and how I got interested in the environment is a huge transition from the realm of international relations to the realm of environmental politics. People think it is a huge gap that people or activists or students like me are trying to bridge, because the way we view IR in our country, it's mostly related to relations between countries, international relations between NGOs, civil societies. That's what they think IR is. But for me, I I currently think that for IR to prosper and to be not a like it should be an emerging field in Pakistan, especially within the realm of the non-traditional security threats. Now, the traditional security threats are basically, countries waging wars against each other, the use of missiles, the use of forces like army, air force, and navy. But non-traditional security threats include threats that necessarily do not need direct combat, but rather they need measures taken by governments, such as in Pakistan, we saw the refugee crisis with the Afghan migrant crisis. So these things or these issues are non-traditional security threats, along with the climate. So basically, climate is something that you're not directly fighting with. The climate is not a country. The climate is not entity that is directly retaliating back in the form of guns or in the form of direct violence, but it is a non-traditional security threat, which means that the more we exacerbate our climate, in the sense that we're doing water pollution, we're doing air pollution, we're making megacities, we're cutting down forests, what we're doing is we're basically indirectly threatening the entity that we're referring to as the climate. Now, the way the climate retaliates back is not basically by firing guns or by firing, missiles, but it's more like it retaliates in an indirect way, and it directly impacts the way you're experiencing life. So, about the climate, we see that in Pakistan there are numerous amounts of issues that are now becoming a focal point for politics, our domestic politics, our the way that our student councils functions, the way that our factories functions. Why? Because it's a problem that is directly affecting each and every person, each and every animal, each and every ecosystem within our country. So this is a little about how I as a student and as someone like you that is still learning more about the climate, how I'm trying to bridge international relations with climate and how they work hand in hand in order to combat the issue that is the time of the need. So I'm going to be opening my slides. I would like you guys to have a visual, a visual, augmentation, a presentation, a little, so that I don't want to speak for the next only the next 30 minutes. I would love for you guys to engage with me. You can definitely type questions in the chat, and I will definitely be answering them at the end of the session. Again, I'm not somebody that is, I'm not your teacher. I'm not someone that you should be scared of about asking questions or whatever, but you should see me as a friend and as a scholar, the same as you learning more and more about the climate every day. Our relationship within this seminar that Sindh Educational Organization has sponsored will remain completely not formal. It will be friendly. You guys can ask me any questions and it won't be a problem. So with this, I'm gonna share my screen, and just give me just one second. All right, guys, I'm just gonna share my screen with you guys. Let me. So basically, we'll be starting off the session with the significance of the World Environment Day. So we do know that today is 5th June, 2024, and we're celebrating World Environment Day. The first thing I would like to share with you guys is the contents we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing, I hope, yeah. So we'll be discussing what is climate change versus the environment, how the environment and climate are two different things, but they're quite correlated with one another. Secondly, I will be telling you a little I know about the theory called the Relativity of Commons by Hardin. He's a really famous scholar that has worked within the sphere of climate, and through his theory, we'll try to understand Pakistan's position within the realm of climate change and what is our role. Thirdly, we'll be discussing how does climate change affect us as a society, as a community, as a country. Fourthly, we'll be discussing who are the stakeholders. So, for those of you who don't know who are stakeholders, basically stakeholders are people who are responsible for either exacerbating the issue of the climate change, or they are the champions of the responsible countries or the responsible states or the responsible activists that are working really hard in the realm of climate change in order to achieve. Hello, was I muted? I think I was. Anyways, so then I told you about the stakeholders. So the stakeholders can be states, they can be an international organization, they can be a civic society group, they can be even a person like Greta Thunberg from Sweden, who's working really hard in the realm of climate change. And then we were going to discuss who are the largest contributors of greenhouse gases. I'm going to tell you about greenhouse gases and how they affect the environment ahead in the PowerPoint presentation. Then we will slightly discuss the effect on sustainable economies that are basically more agricultural. I'm gonna share a case study with you guys on how it is the realm of the climate and the area and agenda of the climate, how does affect sustainable economies. And lastly, we'll be discussing the youth-led initiatives to mitigate crisis. So I do want to inform you that I will be taking feedback from you, and the youth-led initiatives to mitigate the climate crisis will necessarily be feedback. I will be taking your ideas and I'm going to be writing them down, and then I'm going to try and help you guys understand on how, as the youth of Pakistan, we can become the climate warriors of tomorrow. So we have, so basically, the environment. Now, the environment is basically it encompasses of biotic and non-biotic living things that occur naturally on Earth. So basically, there are things that are made by God. For example, we have animals, we have wood, we have water, all these biotic and abiotic living things on Earth. The examples include air, water, land, plants, animals, and all other factors that influence mine and your life directly or indirectly. So an example of the environment would be basically a forest. A forest has an ecosystem. So the trees, the wildlife, the soil, and the climate within that forest is the environment that helps living things thrive. All right. The next thing I would like to talk about is how is the environment and climate change related to one another. So basically, what is climate change? Now, as I told you, the environment it encompasses itself of living and non-living. The is something that you can basically measure. So the meteorological conditions in a particular region and those things that can be measured, for example, the temperature can be measured, humidity can be measured, precipitation can be measured, the wind can be measured, rainfall can be measured. So basically this accompanies your climate. So at the start of the session, what we're trying to debunk here is that the environment consists of abiotic and non-biotic living and non-living things that influence our life directly. And the climate change is basically a long-term patterns and averages of meteorological conditions in a particular region. As I said, it's something that you can measure: temperature, humidity, rainfall, wind, etc. So an example of this would be the Mediterranean summer meteorological conditions, things which we used to measure are now changing. So that is how we differentiate the environment from the climate. All right. So now we're going to go to a very interesting part of today's session, which is the Tragedy of the Commons by Hardin. So basically, Garrett Hardin wrote an essay known by Tragedy of Commons, and this is way early on, before in the probably in the 1900s. Correct me if I'm wrong, or in the 1800s, even I think 1867. But like he argued that basically, if you have a shared resource, for example, I'm here with 24 participants, and we have the facility to drink water for free. All right. Otherwise, let's imagine that water is priced very highly in our country, and for 2 hours, we're given the facility. Me and the participants in this session have the facility to drink water for free. What are we going to do with that shared resource? I'm sharing the resource with 24 to 25 participants. Will I not act in my self interest and take some water home for my family? Out if the water is free for only 2 hours, I would love to take water for my family, for my plants, because it's free, right? So Garrett Hardin, in his influential essay, The Tragedy of Commons, argued that individuals act in their own self-interest can collectively deplete a shared resource, leading to long-term negative consequences for the entire group. So the example Hardin gave was basically of overgrazing. Overgrazing आपके पास क्या होती है? Overgrazing is basically when land is being and the in the earlier times we used to see that land used to be shared by many different farmers. There was no specific demarcation, or there was no concept of privatization for land. So different farmers used to use the same amount of land. Now, when the farmers saw that the amount of soil, the amount of money that the soil is making and the crop is making yearly can be exponentially increased over a certain amount of time if we start to plant more, if we start to graze more. So what happened was that those farmers started to exploit the soil, and that soil later went towards soil erosion, because the natural resources that the land once had were exploited. देखें, मैं आपको इसको उर्दू में आसानी में भी समझाती हूँ. एक एक आपके पास एक जमीन है, उसको आप बार 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 उसके अंदर आप फसल उगा रहे हो, आप जमीन को रेस्ट नहीं दे रहे. आप मैं हूँ और मेरे साथ मेरे 5 दोस्त हैं, हम एक फसल को यूज कर रहे हैं, और हम क्योंकि हम पैसे ज्यादा बनाना चाहते हैं और हम उस पे अपना घर संभालना और मॉनेटरी फायदा ज्यादा करना चाहते हैं, तो हम उसमें बार बार फसल उगाएंगे. एक टाइम पे वो लैंड की जो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज है ना, वो हो जाएंगी खत्म. ठीक है, जो नेचुरली वो एक फसल ग्रो होती थी वो नहीं हो पाएगी. फिर मेरे और आपके जैसे लोग, हम लोग फिर फर्टिलाइजर लाएंगे, हम केमिकल डालेंगे अपनी फसल में ताकि वो फसल फिर भी उगे. लेकिन जब वो फसल हम मार्केट में बेचने जाएंगे, या जब वो फसल हम जैसे लोग खाएंगे तो हमारी लॉन्ग टर्म में बीमारियां बढ़ जाएंगी। तो ये इसका एक इजी सा मैं आपको समझाना चाहती हूँ। सबसे इजी बात इसको कम्युनिकेट करने के लिए, कन्वे करने के लिए यही होगी कि हम अगर एक शेयर चीज यूज करें तो उसको हम जब एक शेयर रिसोर्स होता है उसको हम एक्सप्लॉइट कैसे करते हैं, ठीक है। आगे फिर हम बात करेंगे कि हम में क्लाइमेट चेंज आपके पास, क्योंकि वी हैव हीट वेव्स, वी हैव स्टॉर्म्स, वी हैव फ्लड्स, जो कि तीनों हम पाकिस्तान में एज अ सोसाइटी हम एक्सपीरियंस कर चुके हैं पिछले अराउंड स्पेशली 3 सालों में। हमने देखा कि जो फ्लड्स आए और जिस तरह स्टॉर्म हुआ, स्टॉर्म्स आए, फ्लड्स आए, हीट वेव, अभी जो हीट वेव चल रही है। गाइस, एम आई ऑडिबल?
Yes, yes, you are audible, ma'am.
ओके ओके। सो बेसिकली जिस तरह हमें अफेक्ट किया क्लाइमेट चेंज ने एज अ सोसाइटी, हमारे इतने 1/3 of our population became homeless, people lost their homes, people lost their cattle, people basically lost their lives just due to the climate। and जो राइजिंग हमारे पास टेम्परेचर्स हैं वो आपकी ग्रीनरी, आपकी वेजिटेशन को किस तरह अफेक्ट कर रहे हैं। फॉरेस्ट फायर्स इस्लामाबाद में, क्योंकि मैं इस्लामाबाद से हूँ और मेरी यूनिवर्सिटी मार्गिला हिल्स के बहुत पास है। My campus is situated right in the proximity of the Margila Hills. So I saw the forest fires and they were burning and burning for 2-3 days while our government was working to mitigate the forest fire. It kept on increasing, and we did see that since the Margila Hills are home to a lot of it's a whole ecosystem in there. So जब वो ecosystem जलता है, when the ecosystem burns, the animals come down to the surface because obviously there's a fire in your home, so you'll have to evacuate and come down to the surface. Now, the policy around wild boars within the capital territory is that you're supposed to kill wild boars. But do we not see that the rising temperatures and the heat wave and the forest fires are indirectly our fault, and we are killing wild boars for something that we did. All they ever did was leave their house because of the problems we created for them. But in the capital, we are out here poisoning wild boars. So I think it is a hypocrisy on a major level, and I think students should realize that the impact, that the choices that they make in their life, for example, use of plastic and other not like not being there for the environment. We are not planting trees, we are constantly investing on buying homes in areas that were once forests, especially in Islamabad used to be a forest, and now it has turned into, like, being the capital city, we have seen that a lot of forests have been cut down. Animals like snow leopards are coming down into the capital territory, and people are getting threatened by that. But do we as a country not realize that we have actually disturbed the ecosystem of the snow leopard, and because of us basically they are threatened. So next I'd like to talk about is who are the stakeholders. The stakeholders are basically they're basically the people that are responsible. So we do see that the global north is an entity that is very much responsible for the climate change and also mitigating the crisis. We have seen that the first industry was set up within the northern hemisphere, and it's a very famous writer named Engels who said that Manchester is hell on earth, because that is when the industrialization started, and later within the sphere of as industrialization evolved, we saw that Manchester became a country that was wrapped in the arms of white fog, and people could not breathe. There were breathing issues, pollution occurred. So the global north basically took the first step, and in the global north we do see that there are countries that are also working to mitigate the crisis, but there are also countries that are the reason why this crisis has increased to such a level. So America has pledged till 2030 they are working towards 100% reduction in the greenhouse gases. As I said, I was going to explain about the greenhouse gases. So basically, greenhouse gases, it is a layer that is around the earth that does not let the heat of the earth escape. back into space. तो आपकी जो गर्मी होती है समर में पीक टाइम गर्मी होती है वो क्यों होती है? इट्स ओनली बिकॉज कि जो आपके इन्वायरमेंट आपके जो अर्थ के बाहर जो गैसेस की एक लेयर है वो अर्थ में हीट को ट्रैप करती है एंड दैट हीट इज नॉट एबल टू go back into space. So the earth keeps on heating up. It keeps on heating up until, people like you and me face severe temperatures. People are fainting. Ecosystems are getting destroyed. We have forest fires. So it's all because of this. So along with that, in the global north, we have Canada, who has also pledged that they will have net zero emissions by 2050. Japan has pledged to carbon neutrality by 2050 as well, and the UK also is moving towards net zero in the realm of climate. Next, I would like to talk about the United Nations framework on climate change, which is a very important framework, especially within the realm of climate change. We do see that the United Nations framework on climate change has pledged and has basically created certain frameworks within which states operate in order to tackle the problem of climate change. Especially if we see the Kyoto Protocol, which was done in 1997, we see that it was done in order to control industrialized countries in controlling their greenhouse gas emissions, and it still remains a legally binding document. Similarly, in 2015, there was Paris. It was the Paris Climate Agreement in 2015, which pledged that the temperature should be controlled to less than 1.5 degrees Celsius pre-industrial times, and if it has to increase, it can only increase by 2 degrees. So there are some frameworks, especially other conferences like the Conference of Parties, the COP, which is right now, it will be happening in November in Azerbaijan, the COP 29. Last year we had the COP 28, in which UAE took the presidency, and there was a plan proposed in order to facilitate countries like Pakistan and Costa Rica that are severely impacted by the effects of climate change. And then we have the WHO and the UNEP. So basically, ever since climate change became a problem for people to actually the way people could visualize the climate and how it was affecting us directly, we did see a surge in waterborne diseases within developing countries, and the WHO has been currently issuing warnings and issuing recommendations to developing countries over the contamination of water and the rise in waterborne diseases over the climate change. Similarly, there are the UNEP, the United Nations Environmental Program, that is working with young activists and state actors in order to control a problem of plastic reduction and conservation of flora and fauna. And then we do have civil society initiatives such as Climate Forward Pakistan. It is an organization that is working within Pakistan in order to advance the agenda of how Pakistan should operate within the framework of the UNFCCC, and what contributions do we have. Similarly, my organization and my society, the Society International, we are working towards a youth-led initiative in which we will be able to voice our concerns regarding the climate directly to the people that are making the policies, because the climate is something that affects you and me as well as them. So we can, I believe that it is up to the youngsters in order to decide how they want to go about this, how much importance they want to place towards this issue. Next, I would be telling you about, as I told you, the greenhouse gases are the reason why the heat of the earth cannot escape. So we have 28.8% of the global greenhouse gas emissions in 2022 was done by China. And then second place, we have the United States, stands at a 15.4%. Then we have the European Union, which is collectively 8.4%. And then we have India, which has a 7.1% contribution in order in the in the matter of the greenhouse gases. As now you would like to know if Pakistan, where does Pakistan stand and what is Pakistan's role? So Pakistan only contributes 0.8% of the global greenhouse gas emissions, but sadly, we are the ones that are affected by the climate the most. If you see the fog in Lahore, if you see the floods in Sindh, if you see the forest fires in the Markala, if you see endangered species becoming a huge problem, such as the Indus River dolphin, we are the country that is affected the most in the realm of the climate. We saw floods in Sawat, and it has been terrible earthquakes. As a country, we're already financially struggling, and with a contribution at 0.8% and being subject to a damage that is much, much higher than it's exponentially higher than the greenhouse gas we are contributing, it is indeed a matter of sorrow for the Pakistani community. Uh, with this, we have around 2 minutes, or we have actually 2 minutes left in our meeting. And now I would like to thank you all for being here. And in the last part of this session, I just want to know, okay, what are your opinions on youth-led initiatives to mitigate climate crisis? आप लोगों को क्या लगता है कि हम मैं और आप जैसे हैं, हम स्टूडेंट्स हैं या आपके बेशक घर वाले हैं, हम क्या कर सकते हैं क्लाइमेट चेंज के मसले को खत्म करने के लिए, को कम करने के लिए, किसी ना किसी तरह हम अपने एनवायरनमेंट को गिव बैक करें. तो नाउ आई विल ओपन द फ्लोर फॉर recommendations, and if
Ma'am, hello.
anybody. Yes, yes.
Ma'am, we have still 8 minutes, so if you want to continue, so you can have.
Okay, no problem. Basically, this is the youth-led initiatives to mitigate the climate crisis. I would like to talk about this, and I would like to take feedback from your students on how they see the climate. If we can have like an interactive session, if that's okay. Irfan Parvez is saying yes. Okay, so I'm gonna try telling you guys about the youth-led initiatives within the realm of the climate. So I will take you back to Greta Thunberg. If you remember, she was a really young
Hello.
girl. Yes, yes.
I
Hello.
have, ma'am, Assalamualaikum. I have a question. Hello.
Yes,
Can
yes.
you hear me?
Please. Yes, I can hear you. What's your name and where are
Uh,
you from?
uh, my name is Irfan Parvez. I am from PPIB, Ministry of Energy, Power Division, working
Okay.
as an environment specialist in Power Division right now. Previously, background from the private sector, from
Yeah.
around 9 years. Uh,
Yes.
So I have a query regarding currently all the organizations working on climate change and environment, but
Mm.
no one highlight the issues regarding, as you mentioned, that there are several issues like floods, which are one of the main concerns that recently we have faces the flood in our country, because most of the people say that it's a natural disaster. But as per my opinion, it's not nature made, it's man made, because we
Yeah.
build the infrastructure as much, so we disturb the nature, so we get the after effects of for that in terms of flood. And same as in the case of uh, fire, like in Margala Hills or any other region, that it's basically because we are we are eighth vulnerable country in the world regarding the climate change. But
Yes.
more, but our contribution in the global warming is very little, but we pay very much
Yes.
against that. So I think it's the right time to make the decision, to make the policies and implement them in a sense that we can take up to cater these issues which are highlighted, not in government level but in private sector and academia as well. to play its role on
Yeah.
uh, to,
Yeah.
to handle these issues.
Yeah, that's a really great contribution, Irfan. I already have highlighted the significance of how we as a country are getting affected much more than the contribution we're making. So I really appreciate your valuable feedback. And I do believe that people are focusing on the areas of climate change, fundamentally tackling the rise in temperatures, but the disasters that we are facing as a country are man-made, and I completely agree with you because we do see that the amount of harm. If you look at Faisalabad, it is our textile hub, but are we not polluting the groundwater of Faisalabad? By the groundwater of Faisalabad is depleting, the groundwater in Islamabad is depleting because of
Yeah,
overconsumption of a certain resource. And I also believe that within the realm of forest fires, I did write a post about it last week when there was a forest fire, that civil society initiatives, youth like me and you, are working towards having a greener Pakistan. We did see that once there was a fire on Trail 3 last week in Islamabad, people went and started planting vegetation there because they believed, in their opinion, it was need of time for us as the youth to participate and give back to the climate that we've harmed so much. But as I said, I get to visit the Margila Hills very often as my campus is situated right next to it. So trekkers like me and you, we cannot access those hills because they don't have trails. So the government should, in fact, start sending teams or deploying teams in order to make the revegetation of Margila a matter of concern, because as I said, the wild boar community, the ecosystem, the snakes, all the even monkeys that are living in the Margila Hills, they've started coming down to the surface where they have contact with awful humans like me and you, and then we try to kill them, we try to call animal control, which is basically not their fault. They're getting killed because due to our actions for centuries, we destroyed their homes, and now when they're coming down to our homes, we are killing them. So that will be my take on, and I really appreciate your recommendation. Thank you so much for contributing. If there's any other feedback or if there's any other youth-led initiative, I would highly appreciate everyone to participate.
Hello.
Hello, guys. Hello, hello. I'm so glad that you guys want to ask questions. Really, it really gives the person that is speaking. Okay, we got a question here. Let's see the question. As I was saying, it really gives the person a little bit of, hope and a little bit of, motivation to, share the topic that I share such a profound interest on, to share more with you guys. Okay, so the question we have here is that technology is often seen as a threat to the environment. However, researchers suggest that they can help mitigate environment challenges. Can you put some light on how technology can shape a sustainable environment? Oh, that is a very good question. First, I would like to talk about what is sustainability in your opinion, or in my opinion. So, sustainability is basically something that is able to sustain, that is able to endure the calamities that the climate has. So we do see that sustainable economies होती हैं दुनिया में, काफी सारी economies हैं जो sustainable है, कि वो अपने जो climate के जो issues हैं उनको sustain करके आगे बढ़ती हैं. अब हमारे यहाँ flood आया, सिंध की आपकी इतनी ज्यादा फसलें तबाह हो गई, right? अब मैं इसमें टेक्नोलॉजी को क्रेडिट ये दे सकती हूँ कि these days technology is able to predict the severity of an issue. It is able to beforehand. We do see that flood alarms are a thing. We do see earthquake indicators are a thing. We do see that rising temperatures. You will know a week before heat waves that there's going to be a heat wave. So gear up, everyone. In this way, technology can be used to aid us in helping mitigate the crisis, and it can also help governments in order to take certain measures, sustainable measures to mitigate the crisis. Because जब गवादर में आपके पास flood आया और गवादर में हमारे पास जो है आपकी जो है इतनी ज्यादा उधर इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है हमारा गवादर में सी पैक, आप सबको पता होगा गवादर पोर्ट इतना बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट है, हमारी गवर्नमेंट उस यूएन हाई रिस्क बेल्ट पे आता है आपका गवादर, उसमें अगर वो मैंग्रोव प्लांटेशंस करें, आप लोगों को अभी, आप लोग इस सेशन के बाद जरूर सर्च कीजिएगा कि मैंग्रोव्स कितना इंपॉर्टेंट है कराची जैसे शहर के लिए और गवादर जैसे शहर के लिए और ओवरऑल सिंध के लिए, क्योंकि हमारा जितना कंट्री के कैपिटल एक्यूमुलेट होता है वो आपका कराची से होता है। और अगर कराची हर दफा मानसून रेन्स में इतना वल्नरेबल होता है कि हफ्ते के लिए काम बंद कर देते हैं, ऑफिस बंद हो जाते हैं, आपकी पूरी इंडस्ट्री बंद हो जाती है, तो हमारी गवर्नमेंट की ये प्रायोरिटी क्यों नहीं है? इसीलिए आज मैं और आप इस मौजू पे बात कर रहे हैं कि हमारी गवर्नमेंट की ये प्रायोरिटी क्यों नहीं है कि हम लोग इस जो क्राइसिस को मिटिगेट करने की तरफ हमारे मेजर्स क्यों नहीं है। मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि ये सवाल, इट वाज अ रियली गुड क्वेश्चन, और इस पे बात करने की बहुत जरूरत है कि टेक्नोलॉजी, while it can help you see, like, have an idea about the level of the crisis beforehand, but at the same time technology is the reason why we're having these problems, because back in the day जब एक एग्रीगेरियन सोसाइटी थी, एग्रीगेरियन सोसाइटी उसको कहते हैं जिसमें आपके पास फसलें, आप फसल उगा के आप खाते हो, वही आप, या हंट एंड किल इंस्टिंक्ट पे आप अपनी जिंदगी गुजारते हो, तो उसमें हम देखते हैं कि जी हमारे पास औरतें और मर्द काम कर रहे थे, एक डिवीजन ऑफ लेबर इसको कहते हैं कि औरतें और मर्द दोनों काम कर रहे थे, और ये एक एक्सेप्टेबल सी बात थी कि भाई जो हम उगाएंगे उसी को हम खाएंगे। जब टेक्नोलॉजी आई तो हमने जीव जीएमओज इनको कहते हैं, इंजाइम्स वगैरह, जीएमओज, टेक्नोलॉजी, फर्टिलाइजर्स, इसने क्या किया, क्रॉप की यील्ड को बढ़ा दी। एक तो जो औरतें अपने घर के स्फेयर में पहले काम करती थी अपनी जमीनों पे, उनसे जमीन छीन ली गई, बिकॉज उनको जो इंडस्ट्रियल रेवोल्यूशन जब आया तो ये लगा कि मर्द आर मोर केपेबल ऑफ हैंडलिंग द इंडस्ट्री। तो सबसे पहले तो हमारी वहां पे एक सोशल जस्टिस का प्रॉब्लम हुआ जब टेक्नोलॉजी आई, कि औरतों से काम ले लिया गया, जबकि पहले वो शाना बशाना खड़ी होती थी इस पूरे प्रोसेस में। दूसरा हमने ये देखा कि जो यील्ड होती थी, जो हर साल क्रॉप इकट्ठा किया जाता था, जो बनाया जाता था, उसकी जो डिमांड थी वो बढ़ती गई, और हम लोग फर्टिलाइजर्स मिक्स करके उसको बढ़ाते गए। अब हमारा एज अ कंट्री सबसे बड़ा मसला क्या है, सॉइल इरोजन, या हमारी जमीन जो है वो बंजर पड़ी हुई है। तो ये एक this is a problem with the emergence of technology in the realm of climate change. Pros भी हैं, cons भी हैं. So Sabah SN is saying, I think we should reduce plastics too to combat climate change. By this, we can protect our marine life. Oh yes, this is a very good topic to talk about, Sabah SN. So back in the day, I think I was in my first year of university, and Save the Turtles की एक मुहिम आई, जिसमें हमने बड़ी वीडियोस देखी कि जो है ना टर्टल्स, क्योंकि समंदर में प्लास्टिक होता है, तो टर्टल्स जो हैं वो उस प्लास्टिक को जब खाते हैं तो उनके गले में फंस जाता है, और बहुत सारे टर्टल्स जो है ना वो शोर्स पे आके जमा होना शुरू हो गए, उनकी डेड बॉडीज जमा होना शुरू होंगी। तो प्लास्टिक इंडीड बहुत एक इम्पोर्टेंट वो है, और आप, आई वुड अर्ज यू ऑल कि जब आप बीचेस पे जाए तो आप जरूर अपने साथ प्लास्टिक का जो भी आप कंजम्पशन आपकी होती है, आप कोई बॉटल यूज करते हैं, आप कोई स्ट्रॉ यूज करते हैं, तो प्लीज उसको आप घर पे सेफली डंप करें, ना कि हम उसको बीचेस पे या पानी में डंप करें जहाँ पे मरीन लाइफ है। सेकेंडली, कोरल रीफ्स हमारी होती हैं समंदर में, हमारे इतने सारे मछलियां होती हैं, उनकी एक अपना इकोसिस्टम है ना, जैसे हमने बात की कि इकोसिस्टम क्या है, तो उनका एक अपना इकोसिस्टम में रहने का तरीका है। हम उनके एनवायरनमेंट को गंदा कर रहे हैं, तो फिर मतलब वो हमारी वजह से मर रहे हैं, तो इन सब का खून तो हमारे हाथों पे होता है, तो ये एक हमसे फिर इसका हिसाब भी होगा। तो ये एक, आई थिंक it is an important contribution. So thank you so much, Sabah. Next thing we have from Irfan Pervez is that government has been doing the project of mangroves. Yes, it has been doing the project of mangroves, Irfan. You're very right. I mean, when I was in second grade, I remember I went to a mangrove drive with my school, and we planted my mangroves near this shipping yard. But the scale to which it is planting mangroves is not enough to control the calamity that is a flood, or that is a large scale rain in Karachi or stuff like that. So we do see that, especially wo hurricanes or wo sara control karna, it's very difficult. Or Sindh jaisa area which is so susceptible to it is so vulnerable to the effects of climate change, especially water related climate effects jo hai. So usme I think there should be much more done in the realm of climate change. So then we have Sabah Essen. Uh, Some Essen is saying that reduced greenhouse gas emissions prevent harmful microplastics from entering our food chain. Yes, that is very important. आजकल हमारा जो food chain है उसको बहुत ज्यादा हमने डिस्टर्ब किया हुआ है. जो एक तरीका था हमारे primordial times, we did see that there was a certain pattern on which the food chain operated and it was uninterrupted from microplastics. बट इट इज इनफैक्ट अ प्रॉब्लम. हम जो ट्रैश डिस्पोज करते हैं उसको आके एनिमल्स खाते हैं और उस एनिमल्स मतलब वो माइक्रोप्लास्टिक्स कंज्यूम कर रहे हैं. हमारे खाने में माइक्रोप्लास्टिक्स हैं. तो ऑब्वियसली वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग, आई फील लाइक वी आर प्रोड्यूसिंग वीकर जनरेशंस एंड वीकर जनरेशंस ऑफ एनिमल्स आर आल्सो बीइंग produced. Along with that, the rise of diseases due to microplastics entering the food chain, it is completely आप इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते. इट्स अ रियलिटी. तो आप जरूर, आई वुड encourage, I have one bottle, I do not buy plastic bottles outside. I encourage the use of a single bottle. बेशक आप प्लास्टिक की ले लो लेकिन कोई तो आपकी contribution होना कि when you're outside you should carry your own water bottle and protect yourself from the heat wave. Definitely it is it's a striking reality of our times and people are fainting. आप अपने मजदूर तबके का सोचे. Think about the laborers in your society that are working tirelessly in this heat, so try to be more accommodating towards them. And I think very close to my heart is animal activism. So I would definitely encourage you all the people in this chat, to please keep a certain bowl of water or food outside for the cats and dogs and the birds that are looking for a place to, a place to have their food in the shelter. So please use the shelters of your homes to help these animals that are facing the problem of climate change due to our doings. Do we have, ma'am, I believe that the government is a secondary power and the efforts to tackle climate change should start on an individual level. Very correct. I agree with you too. If we look around us, we all are contributing and harming the environment. We're polluting the streets. We're using cars with obsolete emission systems. We are polluting our seas with microplastics. We are cutting our trees without any proper licenses. So although the government plays the biggest role, I believe that the change should start at grassroots level, and that is an individual level. And no, awareness does not play a very big role in this. Everyone is educated and aware nowadays, especially in the big towns and cities. I think it is a matter of ignorance and hypocrisy from us. We need to change ourselves, and once we are pure as milk, then we can focus on blaming the government. So okay, so on my take on this would be the government is a secondary power. मुझे और आपको लग रहा है कि गवर्नमेंट बहुत ज्यादा कर रही है, लेकिन पर्सनली मुझे ऐसा फील होता है कि इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे अवेयरनेस ज्यादा होनी चाहिए. टुडे मी एंड यू आर टॉकिंग, मे बी आउट ऑफ द 27 participants that I'm talking to, I can in a certain way positively influence even 10 of you. So it's a huge achievement for me. Awareness is very important. If you and me will not have a dialogue on how the climate is affecting us, then we will not be able to convey our concerns to the government, which is responsible for implementing and mitigating the crisis. The government is a reflection of our seriousness towards the problem. And if me and you are talking and we are able to only influence a fraction of the people that are here today, we will be able to communicate our concerns to the government on how to mitigate the crisis. You are saying that it is a matter of ignorance and hypocrisy. Yes, I do believe that it is a matter of ignorance and hypocrisy, because we do have our smartphones and we do see that we are sitting in air-conditioned rooms and people outside are suffering from this massive heat wave that has engulfed our country. It is a matter of ignorance, but again, dialogues between us, youth-led dialogues, and highlighting the problem more and more by speaking about it on social media. Till how long can people ignore us? So it's okay sometimes, and it's okay to let voice your concerns about how you feel, because how long can one ignore? So that will be my take on that, and I really appreciate your feedback. I cannot see your name. It says Zoom user, but once again, thank you so much. Okay. So we have, during the last FIFA World Cup in Qatar, there were people who stayed behind and cleaned the stadiums. It was not their job to do so, but they took it up as a responsibility. We cannot say that they're more educated than us. We all have access to all the information nowadays, but we should ask ourselves, if we were in that place, would we have stayed behind to clean those stadiums? No. मजे की बात आपको मैं बताती हूँ. In the FIFA World Cup, most of the people that were staying behind to clean the stadiums are mostly Pakistanis, Indians, Bengalis that went during the FIFA World Cup in order to basically build the stadium and take care of the sanitary conditions of those stadiums. And in our countries back home, we are being completely ignorant towards that. So I think psychological incentivization plays a huge role in how you see the climate. So when they were getting incentivized, they were cleaning the stadiums, and yes, it was not their responsibilities, but they did, because the government members voluntarily clean the environment. So those are people that have a consciousness that is speaking to them constantly about how bad it is to contaminate the environment with plastic. So I think it is a great question. Okay, would we have stayed back to clean those stadiums? If me, whenever I have plastic or whatever kind of waste, if I'm traveling, I will accumulate it in a bag, and I will throw it when I see the next dustbin. And if I have a metal tin, I will definitely crush it before I throw it in the bin. So ये छोटे छोटे measures हैं जो आप लेते हो. It doesn't ask for a lot of time, especially the use of straws. जब आपको कोई बॉटल के साथ straw मिलती है, तो please make sure कि आप उस straw को बॉटल के अंदर पूरी तरह अंदर करके उसको एक certain amount of triple करके अंदर डालें, ताकि कोई मरीन लाइफ आपकी प्लास्टिक वेस्ट से कंटामिनेट ना हो. Okay. So we have, next question is, to ensure a healthier and greener future for the next generation and to preserve our land, we should reduce the use of plastics by adopting sustainable techniques and using reusable bags and bottles and containers. There is no planet B. Yes, that was the first page of my presentation. It said there is no planet B, and I really believe in this, that no amount of conquest to any other planet done by Elon Musk or whatever can help us escape the reality of the climate change and how it is affecting us. We cannot just go to another planet B and start a new life there, because हमारा ecosystem, उनका ecosystem sustain नहीं कर सकता हमें. तो ये है कि we do have to reduce plastics, and I think Islamabad has already taken initiative by adopting cotton bags or fabric bags used by different shopkeepers. You're not allowed to sell in a plastic bag, or else you'll be heavily fined. तो again इसको implement करना capital में इन्होंने start किया है, and I hope it extends itself to the other parts of the country. I think the use of glass bottles should be encouraged. Even in my university, we have taken an initiative where जितनी भी senior level up meetings होती हैं, उनमें you are not allowed to use plastic bottles. Rather, there is water that is available in. You do not have a plastic bottle lying at your. So there's obviously a hierarchy, there's obviously a system of implementation. So we have started that in Pakistan, in Islamabad, and I really hope that it reflects on to the rest of the country. According to world population, we need more food. So many countries using organic food is dangerous for our health and generation. Is it right? We do need more food, obviously. The World Food Program is working tirelessly in order to ensure that children in Africa do not suffer from malnutrition and do not suffer from the problems that are faced by insufficiency of food. But there are two schools within the use of inorganic food. So when we do use inorganic food, we are basically disturbing our food chain by ingesting fertilizers and by ingesting harmful chemicals within our food. But I would like to share with you the case study of Sri Lanka. I don't know if you guys have heard about the Sri Lankan crisis, but in Sri Lanka, the reason why they also fell into an economic crisis and fiscal deficit was because that they were using that year they were planning to have an organic form of crops available, and the problem that happened was that they used to export most of their crops. So the year they decided to go organic and become the first 100% organic country in South Asia, we did see that the crop infested with different plant diseases, and they were not able to yield as much as they would regularly. So their yield dropped by around 70%. और जिसकी वजह से उनकी economy, the economy took a huge impact of what happened. So while it is not encouraged that there should be completely organic food, again you cannot avoid the use of fertilizers in some instincts, because some land or some ecosystems are very vulnerable to plant diseases, and once you try to experiment with a new track of having organic food, it can definitely have an effect on the yearly yield or the yearly money that you make. So I think scientists at this point should come up with fertilizers. I think they're already available in countries in the northern hemisphere like the US and the UK, but हमारी जैसी developing countries को बहुत जरूरत है कि इस तरह के fertilizer जो हम जिससे हम crop को sustain करें, sustain the year in food chain in such a drastic way. So that would be my take on that. I think the issue does not persist due to lack of awareness. Only capitalism also plays a key role in Pakistan. Is not even in top 100 climate change, but still among top 10 countries. जी कैपिटलिज्म तो एक मतलब अनइग्नोरेबल रियलिटी है आपके सिस्टम की. हम एक गरीब मुल्क है, वी आर पुअर कंट्री, वी डू नीड टू मेक आवर कैपिटल, एंड ऑब्वियसली a country like us has to prioritize having our energy resources. अगर हमें अगर लगता है कि burning coal from the third coal power plant is an important project for us, because it will create more energy for us to make more money, for us to run more industries. Secondly, हम एक गरीब मुल्क हैं, तो आई थिंक प्रायोरिटी हमारी गवर्नमेंट की ये नहीं है कि हीट वेव हमें कैसे अफेक्ट कर रहा है. प्रायोरिटी गवर्नमेंट की ये है कि हम लोग जो है किस तरह से इन दिस इवन इन द हीट वेव वी आर एबल टू एक्सप्लॉइट आवर लेबर्स. तो इट इज अ कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी, और ये आप पूरी दुनिया में देखते हैं, क्योंकि द रीजन फॉर द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जो कि नहीं हो पा रही क्लाइमेट चेंज की, व्हेन आई टॉक्ड अबाउट द ग्लोबल स्टेक होल्डर्स, आई रियली क्लियरली मेंशन कि भाई आपके पास इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इसलिए नहीं हो पा रही बिकॉज जो आपके सोसाइटी जो सबसे ज्यादा कंट्रीब्यूट कर रही है वही फिर इस तरह की मतलब इस तरह के गोल्स बना रहे कि हम 2035 तक हम नेट इमिशन जीरो कर देंगे. यूएस सेड दैट, and that is a very difficult task to do because उनकी पूरी इकोनॉमी उधर they have like oil fields, वो लोग उस ऑयल को एक्सट्रैक्ट करते हैं, फिर पूरी दुनिया में मतलब उनका जो एक्सपोर्ट्स होती हैं कंटेनर्स वगैरह, जिस तरह वो अपने सामान को एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं, जो उससे फ्यूम्स जनरेट होती है. कैपिटलिज्म उनकी फर्स्ट priority है. Getting the money in the bag is the first priority. Caring about the climate is the second, because people like you and me are making a lot of noise about it. So you are very right कि we are the top 10 countries, और even कि the saddest part is कि UAE की COP presidency में COP28 में हमारे पास there was a loss and damage fund that was created in order to cater the needs of countries that are vulnerable to climate change like Pakistan. But सैडली अभी तक हमें उसकी पूरी जो पेमेंट प्लान उन्होंने जनरेट किया था उसके हिसाब से पूरे फंड्स नहीं मिल रहे, एंड अभी तक लोगों के घर में सिंध में पानी खड़ा हुआ है. आप सोचे मसले को कितना मतलब आप 2022 में आपके फ्लड्स आए, उसके बाद इतनी सारी चीजें हुई, और अभी तक जब लोग वहां विजिट करते हैं तो हम देखते हैं कि बच्चों के पेट फूले हुए हैं बिकॉज क्लीन वाटर की एक्सेसिबिलिटी नहीं है हो रहे हैं. और इसमें एक बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात जो मैं करना चाहूंगी वो सोशल जस्टिस की है कि भाई सोशल जस्टिस क्लाइमेट से बहुत एक इम्पोर्टेंटली रिलेटेड टॉपिक है. और अगर आप क्लाइमेट चेंज का जो आपके पास टॉपिक है उसमें अगर आप द नीड्स ऑफ वुमेन एंड चिल्ड्रन एंड एनिमल एक्टिविस्ट एंड एनिमल्स को डिफरेंशिएट नहीं कर पा रहे और आप सिर्फ ये बोल रहे हो कि ग्रीन हाउस गैसेस कंट्रोल करो, तो यू आर डूइंग एब्सोल्युटली नथिंग on your part. You're just voicing your concern regarding greenhouse gas emissions that you cannot even control yourself. What you can control yourself is ensuring the justice to women that are affected much differently in the climate. They experience menstrual hygiene में उनके प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं. फ्लड्स में हमने देखा मेंस्ट्रुअल हाइजीन और प्रेग्नेंट वुमेन ने बहुत सफर किया, बच्चों ने बहुत सफर किया, उन्हें डायरियाज हो गए, पेट में कीड़ा हो गया, एनिमल्स ने बहुत सफर किया. और आई थिंक इसमें हम सबका इसमें रोल है कि हम ये हाईलाइट करें कि क्लाइमेट इज नॉट ओनली यू लूजिंग योर होम इन अ फ्लड. Climate is much more than that. Climate is also about how every aspect of society is and is affected much differently. So that is one thing. And then we have um, there's a hadith that I want to quote here. Start with your home. Start from your home and teach your children all the topics we are discussing here. Your home is the only place where you are in full control. जी मैं बिल्कुल इससे एग्री करती हूँ कि your house is the only place that you can control. And अगर आप अपने घर में एक बंदे को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं तो वो कल को अपने दोस्तों को इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं. तो उस तरह the sphere of influence is constantly being transferred between our peers and our friends. So it is very important to talk about these topics and have sessions, interactive sessions where you can actually, engage in a debate on how you see the climate and how other people see the climate. And through that initiative, you come to, you come to a common place where you're able to communicate about the climate more openly and able to exchange ideas. Then we have Islamabad also built a plastic road. That was a great initiative. Yes, Islamabad built Ataturk Avenue in Islamabad is a very famous avenue, which is built completely through plastic, and it is avenue that I love traveling on because the way it is engulfed in this basically a road, and on the left and the right side is a really dense forest, and it's full of greenery. And we do see that the lines that you see on the road that separates the coming and the going cars, it is done with green paint, and the road is gray color but more green color. So yeah, that is about Ataturk Avenue. Other than that, I think that will be all for today, guys. I would like to thank Ali Baksh for having me here and having such an interactive session with you all. It was indeed an honor for me to be able to share my thoughts and my opinions. Again, I'm not someone that is a teacher, but rather I'm someone just like you who's learning more and more about the climate every day. So I'm also a scholar just like you, and I really want to thank Sindh Educational Organization for having me here today. And I would really like to thank the students that are here for having patience and listening to me and being here. So thank you so much, Ali Baksh, and thank you so much, Sindh Education Organization.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here and sharing insights related Environmental Day and climate change and how to prevent. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So
And
we
thank you so
have
much for the people that are thank you so much for the people that are typing in the comments saying it was a great session and you're a very important person. I think your name was Abdullah Naeem. So thank you so much, Abdullah Naeem. It really means a lot. And thank you, Wazir Ahmed and Sabah Ehsan and Shahdev Jaipal. Thank you so much, everyone. It really means a lot to me. Irfan Pervez, it is indeed an honor for me to be here and to speak to you all today. And I hope we are able to interact on LinkedIn or other professional platforms because I am very vocal about the climate within the set of social media networks. So I do have a LinkedIn profile. If you ever have the chance of having a LinkedIn profile, please follow me. My name is Zarka Khan, and I occasionally speak about the climate. Thank you, Hussein. But thank you.